Welcome back to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today. We're going to be pulling out the virtual vintage newspapers for a real deep dive into a very specific and honestly a highly eventful narrative that was recently outlined in a commentary by Benny Johnson. We are going to break down this report detailing the complete roller coaster of a relationship between two of the most famous men on the literal planet, Donald Trump and Elon Musk. As we're going to see today, this narrative lays out a completely fascinating timeline. We're talking partnership, massive fracture, and then a monumental reunion that is right now shaking up global politics.
Okay, let's dive into this. How exactly did a bitter public feud turn into a high-stakes joint mission to China? Well, that is the core question our source material is attempting to answer today. This narrative paints a wild picture of two massive personalities, men who both operate on just an unprecedented global scale. They clashed incredibly hard, only to reconcile right ahead of what's shaping up to be one of the most significant diplomatic trips of the decade. And it's a relationship that, frankly, has profound implications for all of us.
So let's trace this journey out. It actually starts by looking back at the fond memories of late 2024. The commentary highlights these moments of Musk's son, Little X, bopping around the White House, coming off Air Force One, all during what is often called the heyday of the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE. But then, boom, we hit a wall. Early 2025 brings a massive, and I mean massive, public fallout. But fast forward to late 2025, and there is a total surprise reconciliation, which brings us right up to this current week, where they are actually preparing for a huge joint trip to China. Section 1. Forging a new alliance.
To really understand this alliance, you've got to look at the interpersonal dynamics at play here. The source describes it in farm country terms as two bulls in one pasture. When you have two distinct alphas, it just naturally becomes pretty difficult to share the spotlight without some serious friction. And that 2025 clash between these two men, it was severe, it was incredibly public, and intense. On one side, Musk literally called for Trump's impeachment. And in response, the president suggested deporting Elon Musk, right? I mean, this was a massive relationship-ending level clash, which honestly makes what happened next all the more surprising.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is exactly how that reunion was publicly signaled. So, following a mediated intervention on conservative commentator Charlie Kirk's show, which actually brought these two powerful men back together, Musk took to social media. To an audience of 52 million followers, he posted a quote directly from the Lord's Prayer, saying, "Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us." The report points to this exact post as the definitive moment that the rift was officially healed.
But this reconciliation, it wasn't just about words. It came with a massive financial pivot. $10 million. This incredibly large donation specifically targeted the Kentucky Senate race, and the explicit aim was to, quote, destroy Mitch McConnell's legacy. It's just a staggering figure, $10 million representing Musk basically throwing his considerable financial weight right back into the political ring.
And that $10 million was really just the beginning. Musk has completely returned as a significant benefactor, directly funding Republicans for the upcoming 2026 midterms. Despite previously stating that he had, done enough political spending, he is now firmly back in the political fold. This patched-up relationship and this renewed financial commitment sets the exact stage for their next massive joint venture.
Section 2. A high-stakes China mission.
So the crucial point is that this reunion has culminated in a completely monumental diplomatic trip to Beijing to meet directly with Chinese President Xi Jinping. This is widely considered the most important foreign trip President Trump has taken, and Elon Musk is heading there right alongside him. Just consider the sheer scale of the backup Trump is bringing. 17. The White House has invited 17 major CEOs to join this delegation. Bringing this many titans of industry is a huge move, and it's a very clear signal to China of exactly who is on Team America. It's an unprecedented deployment of corporate firepower.
Let's just run down exactly who is included in this heavy firepower delegation. We've got Elon Musk, obviously, alongside Tim Cook of Apple. We also have representatives from Meta, BlackRock, Boeing, Visa, and MasterCard, just to name a few, along with Tesla and SpaceX. I mean, these are the specific industry leaders sitting at the table to help the administration negotiate these incredibly high-stakes global deals.
So what exactly are they negotiating? Well, there's a clear three-step agenda for pressing Xi Jinping on this trip. Step 1 is righting the trade imbalance. Step 2 involves pushing for massive U.S. investment, which actually includes demanding massive orders of American planes and soybeans. And Step 3 is discussing complex artificial intelligence export controls. So it's a very dense, highly consequential agenda they've got lined up.
Section 3. Musk's China Paradox. And this brilliantly illustrates a fascinating duality here. Elon Musk's unique and honestly seemingly contradictory relationship with China. Musk has a deep, vested business interest there. Over half of all Teslas delivered globally, more than 50%, come directly from the Giga Shanghai factory. Tesla is actually the first foreign automaker allowed to operate a wholly owned factory in China. This really grounds the entire geopolitical discussion in hard reality, right? Because Musk's core business relies fundamentally on Chinese manufacturing.
Furthermore, the consumer market in China is just unparalleled. China is the dominant car buyer this year, purchasing literally more cars than America and Europe combined. So from a purely business perspective, China is an utterly essential market for Musk's global ventures.
And he goes way beyond just cars, too. China is installing solar power at a staggering rate. We're talking rapidly growing electricity generation that could potentially power half of America. With Musk's deep involvement in energy generation and sustainable tech, this further explains the massive vested interests he has within the Chinese market. Yet here is the paradox. You have to contrast this deep reliance on Chinese manufacturing with his recent aggressive political statements. Right ahead of this critical trip, Musk has been very actively posting anti-communist content on social media, expressing a strict zero tolerance for those who romanticize communism.
This ideological stance is actually backed by stark historical statistics that Musk has recently shared. He states a zero tolerance for romanticizing an ideology responsible for 100 million deaths, with claims that China alone accounts for 65 million of those victims. It is a highly aggressive ideological posture taken just days before stepping off the plane for a major trade mission.
Section 4. The road ahead. Let's move to and see how this builds.
So what is the ultimate goal of reuniting these two alphas, despite their past clashes? Well, ultimately, this alliance is entirely about long-term survival. The message from the source is clear. Stop the infighting, get the band back together, and move forward with unified strength to secure the MAGA movement for 2028 and potentially for the next 100 years. It's really all about unifying the heavy hitters for the long game.
Which leaves us with a massive question to ponder as we wrap up today's explainer. How will this reunited Alpha Alliance shape the future of global trade, supply chains, and the economy that you interact with every single day? Will their combined weight actually bring the diplomatic wins they're hoping for in Beijing? It's an incredible story of rift and reunion, and honestly, the stakes truly couldn't be higher. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into the commentary. Keep learning, and I'll catch you on the next one.